It is evacuation day in the Carolinas, where Hurricane Florence expected to bring catastrophic damage.
This is News 3 at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for tuning in today. Widespread evacuations are underway in South and North Carolina and Virginia as Hurricane Florence inches closer. And states of emergency also in place now in Georgia. Forecasters say strong winds extend 175 miles from the center. North Carolina's governor is saying the storm is, quote, a disaster at the doorstep. Mo Lange has the latest.
The streets of Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina are mostly deserted and boarded up. Many people here are heading to higher ground before Florence arrives.
We're getting off the island at noon today.
They got a long trip.
Philip Payne plans to ride out the storm with family in Charlotte.
We're definitely going to get out of here better safe than sorry.
Florence is a powerful Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. Forecasters expect it to make landfall late Thursday or early Friday in coastal North Carolina.
Florence may stall after it makes landfall and then move very slowly south down the coast. This could mean that parts of North and South Carolina near the coast will experience hurricane-force winds and hurricane conditions for 24 hours or more.
Evacuations here in Wrightsville Beach and in many other coastal towns are mandatory, but in most storms, not everyone heeds the call. Nick Metcalf is staying put.
We made all the preparations I can make. Got a generator, gas, food, water. We'll see what happens.
But state and local officials in Virginia, South, and North Carolina are urging people to listen and get ready for the storm of a lifetime.
A storm surge higher than many homes. The National Weather Service has just said it will be unbelievably damaging.
The view from outer space shows the enormous size of Florence. Forecasters say the storm could drop 15 to 25 inches of rain as it tracks inland, and even more if it stalls in one area. Mo Lange, CBS News, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
And forecasters caution that widespread flooding can last for days. Let's head to the Weather Center now. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield has been tracking Florence for us. What's the latest?
Well, it is still a Category 4 storm, Mark, and this could be a very, very dangerous situation for multiple states for days and days to come. Right now, as I mentioned, Category 4, wind at 130 miles per hour. It's about 500 miles to the south and east of the Carolinas, but that is going to continue, this storm, to move to the north and west. And as it gets a little bit closer, by the time we get to early Friday morning, still could be close to a Category 4, possibly a Category 3. But the big change is what's happening is the steering winds for this hurricane just really go dark as we head into the later portions of this storm, so it could stall and bring catastrophic amounts of flash flooding and rain to portions of the Carolinas, even into portions of Georgia as that takes its southward turn as we head into Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Live look in Madison, nothing like that on the WISC-TV Skycam, showing mostly sunny skies, 76 degrees, south-southwest wind at 8 miles per hour. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s at this noon hour. Dew points are a little bit higher in the low 60s, so maybe feeling a little bit more humid outside. Temperatures falling through the 70s into the 60s and starting off in the mid 50s for tomorrow with more sunshine. Coming up, we'll have another look at Florence and talk about our next chance for rain across southern Wisconsin in your first alert forecast.
And we know what 14, 15 inches of rain can be. They're talking 20, 30, maybe 40.
And that's in a span of about 4 days instead of over 3 weeks. So it's unbelievable the amount of rain that could fall.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, Dave. The federal government says it is doing what it can to get ready for Florence. FEMA has already staged recovery supplies near the coast and is ready to deploy. The president has already declared states of emergency in the Carolinas and Virginia, clearing the way for immediate federal assistance. But critics are questioning a Trump administration decision to divert some of FEMA's funds to keep shelters open along the U.S.-Mexico border.
This is all part of the child separation policy, and that's how this information came into my hands because of my work on this issue of trying to stop the child separations.
Senator Jeff Merkley from Oregon released documents showing nearly $10 million was sent to ICE. more than 4 million of which came from response and recovery or preparedness and protection categories. FEMA says it is making up for the funds by curtailing training, travel, and public engagement. It also says the diverted funds are less than 1% of the agency's total operational expenses, and it has a separate account totaling $25 billion it uses for disaster responses. Weeks after flooding first started across southern Wisconsin, some parts of the viewing area are just starting to see water levels crest. That's the case in Rock County, where the Rock River near Lake Koshkonong reached major flood stages yesterday. So far, there haven't been any reports of structural damage because of those levels. More than 20,000 sandbags are in place along the river. The good news, the Rock could return to normal levels as early as next week. In Dane County, a group meets today to talk about ways to help workers and businesses affected by flooding. The Commission of Economic and Workforce Development will hear about services available to people who might be unemployed as a result of the weather and how the Department of Labor could help repair public infrastructure. The federal government would have to issue a formal disaster declaration for the county for that money to come through. That meeting starts at 4 o'clock this afternoon at the City County Building. The Capital City Trail is closed in Madison between Broome Street and Blair Street at the Monona Terrace. The city was using pumps to maintain the trail. 7 of the 8 pumps were stolen last night, resulting in 8 inches of water on the trail. A Wisconsin man has a lot to celebrate. He completed 7 Ironman distance triathlons in 7 consecutive days across 7 Wisconsin locations. Chad Esker's already competed in a dozen Ironman competitions in his lifetime, but this is a new milestone. Each day he swam more than 2 miles, biked for 112, and ran over 27, making for a total of nearly 1,000 miles. His mission is to inspire others to get out and challenge themselves to live a happier, healthier life. Ironman Wisconsin here in Madison marked Esker's 7th and final race. And if we weren't impressed enough already, he did it alongside special needs athlete Autumn Moen as part of the My Team Triumph organization. Congrats. Well, today, the last day to try to visit all 85 Buc-ee's on parade starting tomorrow. The statues are going to be removed from their sites, cleaned up and repaired. 55 of them are already sold and will go back to their sponsors. But if you're in the market for an 8-foot-tall Buc-ee to join your family, another 30 are going to be auctioned off. There's a live auction scheduled for September 29th and a separate online auction that includes other items as well. All proceeds will go to a number of nonprofits, including basketball coach Greg Gard's charity, Guarding Against Cancer. Well, there's more to come on News 3 at noon. I'm next. We'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Any ideas as to why Elvis did all that jiving on TV back in 1956? We think he was making room for a slice of his mom's coconut cake.
You can
Last month, when we featured a recipe inspired by the king of rock and roll, we were overwhelmed by the response. So with this week being the anniversary of Elvis's first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, we thought we'd invite our good friend, Elvis tribute artist, Terry Buckwald, back to the test kitchen. How you doing?
Good to see you, Howard. Thanks for having me back.
Tell us about that day.
Well, as soon as he started singing, "Don't be cruel to a heart that's true," the audience went wild. As a matter of fact, the cameramen were directed to shoot only from the waist up. All his jiving was a bit too much for TV viewers back then.
Maybe he was simply making some room for a slice of his mom's coconut cake.
I bet you he was.
And as you know, we recreated that cake just for you.
You know, Howard, this isn't the first piece I've had. And I have to say, it's absolutely amazing. The frosting is so creamy, it's no wonder this was his favorite.
To get the recipe for what we call Elvis's coconut cake, all you have to do is visit our website. And while you're there, make sure you check out where Terry will be performing. Terry, if Elvis tried this cake, what do you think he'd say about it?
Ooh, it's so good.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
It is.
This is good, isn't it?
Well, another nice day for us in southern Wisconsin. Dave joins us after the break with our first alert forecast, including how the weekend is looking. That's coming up next at noon. Well, Amazon is getting into the holiday spirit early this year, and businesses are also bracing for the economic impact of Hurricane Florence. Here's Diane King Hall with today's Money Watch report.
U.S. businesses are teaming up to fight Trump administration tariffs. More than 60 U.S. trade groups are rolling out a new coalition today called Americans for Free Trade. Members of the group, representing industries ranging from retail to farming, are launching a multi-million-dollar campaign to highlight industries harmed by the trade war. Meanwhile, Hurricane Florence may be the costliest storm to hit the U.S. Analytics firm CoreLogic is predicting the storm could cost more than $170 billion. To date, Katrina was the most expensive storm to hit. It caused about $161 billion in losses. We all have our vices, but how much do we spend on them? According to Bankrate.com, Americans spend nearly $3,000 a year on things we don't need, like lottery tickets, specialty coffee, and dining out. The bulk of those expenses are spent on eating out, with most Americans dining out at least 2 times a week. And Amazon is ready to deliver a Christmas tree to your front door. According to the Associated Press, Amazon will be selling live, full-size Christmas trees for the first time this holiday season, starting in November. Customers will have 2 choices, and the first will run about $115 per tree. Amazon says they'll be shipped within 10 days of being chopped down. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Thanks, Diane. At the noon hour, the Dow Industrials up 78 points. The NASDAQ, however, down 38. Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee out of the radio barn today, so here are your farm numbers. And Pam will be back with us tomorrow. Dave is here now, keeping an eye on Florence. This is breaking all the rules, this storm.
Yeah, I would say this is about a 1 in a million storm, just because of the path, the threats, and everything that's going to be going on over the next week or so. Here is a look at this Category 4 storm on visible cloud tracks of visible satellite. You could see just the scope of this, and if we actually looked at infrared satellite, it would appear bigger. So the entire state of Wisconsin could fit in to Hurricane Florence right now. As I said, a Category 4 with maximum winds of 130 miles per hour, that minimum pressure at 943 millibars, moving to the northwest at about 15 miles per hour. And it's going to continue that direction until we get to very early on Friday morning, when it could actually stall. And here's a little bit of why, folks. So this blocking high has really forced Florence to head to the north and west. We sometimes call this the subtropical high. It has nothing to do with tropical versus not tropical systems. It has to do with the latitude on which it usually forms. So it's usually almost always there. Now, the trouble is, once this gets a little bit closer to land, watch what happens. It actually goes against the grain, so to speak, and takes a west to southwesterly track and turn, which we almost never see when it comes to hurricanes. Usually when hurricanes affect the Carolinas, they come over Florida and up into the north, but this one is really breaking all the rules, as Mark said, and this stall right here could be catastrophic when it comes to flooding. So here are the storm threats. Again, hurricane force winds, obviously a major concern when we talk about hurricanes. Catastrophic heavy rain, life-threatening flash and river flooding, dangerous storm surge. And once we get a storm of this magnitude and of this power to stall, even if it's just for a little bit, we could get crazy rain totals, very similar to Harvey last year. So there is a chance that some areas of coastal Carolina get about 40 inches of rainfall. That's not an estimation, folks. That isolated amounts could happen at times. Luckily, nothing like that across Wisconsin, although we've been dealing with our own heavy rain over the past couple of weeks. Thankfully, it has been dry. Any rain showers well off to the north and west. Downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam, looking at mostly sunny skies this early afternoon. Forecast high of 80. Normal is 74, so we're about 5 degrees above normal for this time of year. Temps in the upper 70s and low 80s already across southern Wisconsin. Dew points are a little bit higher, so feeling a little bit more humid outside. In the low 60s. Wind speeds out of the south at about 8 to 15 miles per hour. So here is a look at Florence as it continues to get closer and closer. So late on Thursday and early on Friday when we're really starting to see that landfall occur. For us, though, this set of fronts and low pressure system really not going to affect us, going to stall to the north. So we're enjoying dry weather into this weekend and actually even for the start of next week before on Tuesday we start to get those shower and thunderstorm chances back with us, but really not looking at anything major over the next 7 to 10 days. A couple of chances for maybe a few raindrops, but really not anything to be concerned about. The concern with all of us, not just those on the southeast coast, is with those folks who are going to be affected by Florence. Hopefully it calms down, but really no sign of that happening anytime soon.
Millions and millions of people affected by this.
It's going to be bad.
And it could be like a hurricane force for like 24 hours, I heard.
Yeah, and couple that with the flooding threat that will last for at least a few weeks after that storm is done. It's not looking good at all.
All right. Well, let's hope for the best,
Yes.
as you say. Thanks, Dave. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. Up next, Beards for 100, please. Season 35 is off to a hairy start for Jeopardy, and the internet's going crazy. That story's next at noon.
News 3.
Well, a certain game show host just debuted a beard, getting his fans all fired up. CNN's Jeannie Mose reports beards are back.
Jeopardy! You know what's not in Jeopardy? Host Alex Trebek's brand new beard. It's a hit. The game show once paid homage to his mustache with a montage. Now bearded Trebek says he just meant to regrow another mustache.
things got a little out of hand. These hairs kept attracting friends.
And voila, for the 35th season of Jeopardy, a beard. Wow, reminds me of Sean Connery. The older the better, yum yum. Hashtag Alex Trebeard took off, and when the votes were counted, the beard won by more than a hair. Is he following in the follicles of Stephen Colbert?
Came in all white. Evidently talking about Donald Trump for 2 years has made my mouth old.
These hosts tend to go away on break and come back hairy, polling their fan base. 37% said yes, beard.
24 said no beard. 17% said that is not a beard. And 22% security stop that hobo.
Colbert said, though the beard sort of won the popular vote.
My wife is the Electoral College.
And she sounds none too happy. Unlike this Jeopardy fan who tweeted, Alex Trebek is looking like the sexy brother of Santa Claus. But if you want a beard that looks like it belongs on Santa himself...
I forget that I have the damn beard. And I'm surprised that no one has said to me, hey, dumbass.
Gillette reports the average number of times men shave has fallen to 3.2 times a week, and razor sales are down. Someone suggested Trebek should look like Letterman by December, if nothing else.
The beard
gives hosts something to stroke between jokes.
The hearings are being headed.
Jeannie Mo, CNN.
I look like a Civil War statue.
New York.
Jeannie, for that. Have you ever grown a beard?
I can't. I really can't. It gets to about 5 or 6 days, and then I have a neared, which no one likes, unfortunately. But everyone likes this weather right now across southern Wisconsin. This afternoon, partly sunny and warm with temperatures near 80. Will fall through the 70s and 60s and start off Thursday in the mid-50s. Plenty of sunshine on the way for tomorrow as well.
Looking good. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 4. In the meantime, have a great afternoon.